Hello to anyone who happens to find this video. My name is Robin, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about a potentially haunted tunnel in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario. This tunnel is referred to as the Screaming Tunnel, but before I get into it, I do want to put a trigger warning as the stories that relate to why it is referred to as the Screaming Tunnel do involve a little girl being assaulted and murdered, so please do not continue watching this if that's something you are uncomfortable hearing about. So a little bit about the tunnel itself. Beneath the Grand Trunk Railway track, which is now known as the Canadian National Railway, there is a drainage passage which was used to keep the tracks from flooding as well as keep the farmlands from flooding. The tunnel was also often used as a passageway for the farmers so that they didn't have to go over the hill and across the tracks. The tunnel was constructed in the early 1800s. The tunnel is made of 125 feet of limestone brick. It starts from Warner Road, and on the opposite side of it are fields which were formerly farmlands. Roughly 100 years after it was built, in the early 1900s, a very tragic event took place. There are three main variations of this story, of the very terrible event that happened to a little farm girl. Each version has the same outcome, and each is a little bit, quite a bit more horrific actually than the previous. The first story is said that the little girl's parents were in a heated argument, and the father, in a spiteful rage, set the farm on fire. The little girl was caught in the flames, and her clothes were set ablaze. Terrified, she ran. She ran all the way right to the tunnel in hopes of finding water to put out the flames. Sadly, she succumbed to her burns, and she died in the center of the tunnel. The second story is similar, as the parents were fighting, but they were fighting about their divorce, where the father found out he was going to be losing custody of the children. In a deranged fit, he dragged his daughter to the tunnel and he ignited her. She met her demise in the center of the tunnel. The last version is definitely the most unnerving and the darkest. There's a lot of speculation around this story too. In itself, some people say it was the father that was her attacker. Some people say that it was a drunk man that it was her attacker, so I am just going to refer to it as her attacker. Regardless, it is a very horrifying version. The little girl was taken to the tunnel by her attacker. There, she was beaten and sexually assaulted. Her attacker then burned her alive to hide the evidence of his ghastly deed. Now, these stories are nothing short of frightful. Having said that, the little girl is said to still haunt the tunnels and fear the flames. It is said that if you light a match in the center of the tunnel, a gust of wind will extinguish it, and you could hear the little girl's echoing scream. Some say you can smell the scent of death in and around the tunnel, the scent of sulfur. There's quite a bit of speculation around these stories as to whether or not they're real or not, considering there are no names, there's no addresses, there's no farms currently standing to this day. Some people claim that you don't hear screams, you hear the squeals of the train tracks. Again, there's a lot of speculation, but I would say if it's somewhere you are curious about visiting, take a look, check it out yourself, and definitely test out the match theory. There are some people that say that actually the reason they believe there is no proof about these crimes is that the local farmers decided to bury the crimes due to the heinous acts it involved. So it's all up to everyone's individual interpretation, as well as each of these main three versions have different versions in and around themselves, depending on who has told them. The stories have been around for many, many years. So I hope you found this a little bit interesting, and if you're into a paranormal investigation, the Screaming Tunnel in Niagara-on-the-Lake is definitely a place to check out. Thank you for watching.